that feels right. Cut the cap, let it breathe, slow burn with an easy grin. Mind full of good plans and I'm walking right in. Leather chair, quiet and right, one draw, whole mood shift. Head high, heart lighter, that's the kind of life I live. I don't need a big scene, just a place that feels right, where the talk stays smooth and the hours feel light. CB Cigar Vault, that's where I go. CB Cigar Vault, I let it all flow. Good smoke, good life, that's my home. CB Cigar Vault, that's where I go. Yeah. Friends lean in, trade stories, watch the ember glow red. Every laugh gets richer, every minute feels bold. I take one more pull, then I toast to the night. For the winds, for the weather, for the way things feel right. I don't need a big scene, just a place that feels right, where the talk stays smooth and the hours feel light. CB Cigar Vault, that's where I go. CB Cigar Vault, I let it all slow. Good smoke, good life, that's my home. CB Cigar Vault, that's where I go. Yeah.
Welcome. This is my third live stream. I appreciate you guys that have watched the first two episodes, whether it be live when we did it or catch on the replay. I appreciate everybody who's made the comments and kind of give me feedback on how they think the shows are going. So thank you. I see we got Chad and James in the chat currently. As if there's anybody else, please pop in. Let me know that you're here, because the focus of this show is I'm going to let everybody know what my top 10 cigars are for the midway point of 2026. Now, there are some rules. You know, everybody's got their own list. Everybody's got their own ways of doing things. I'm no different. Got Luigi in the house. What's up? So my rules is I've had to smoke this for the first time in 2026. It does not have to be a new blend. It could just be a new size. It doesn't have to be released in 2026. I just have had to have smoked it for the first time in 2026. So you're going to see some cigars on this list that are either, could be no longer in production or harder to find. There are some that are obviously discontinued, some that may be sold out, some that may not be legal here. Also, price point is of no consequence. I do not base my choice of cigars based on what they cost. If I find something that's great, that's $8, that's awesome. And if it's $100+, it is what it is. This list has no basis on price whatsoever. And as always, my opinions are my own. Not saying you need to go out and get these. And I'm sure some of the cigars on this list, you guys will probably disagree with altogether and say, I don't know what this guy's talking about. His palate is crap. And that may be so, but it is my palate. It is my taste. And this is my list. So take that for what it's worth. Left-handed cigar is illegal. Left-handers should be illegal, period. And my brother is a left-hander. So there you go. So like I said, first time in 2026, I had to smoke it. It doesn't have to be released this year. It can be an older blend, just a new Vitola. And these are in no particular order. Just They are the top 10 I've come across. I do not have them ranked, so just because you see it first doesn't mean it's the best or the worst of the top 10. They're just in no particular order. The very first cigar I'm going to start out with is the Kellner 80th. Let's see this. There we go. A little focus in there. This here's a 7x50 Diadema. I kind of get a very smooth, oak nuttiness, sweetness to the cigar. It's just one of these absolutely fantastic cigars that come out towards the tail end of last year. I did not get around to it till this year, and I ended up buying a couple boxes of them because I found it to be, one of the smoothest cigars that I have come across in all of my cigar smoking. I know my brother is also a big fan of the Kellner 80th, and therefore has ended up on my mid-year top 10 list so far. James is asking, what are y'all smoking? Well, I currently am not lighting up a cigar yet. One of the cigars I will be smoking post-show, though, you'll see on this list. I found that trying to do these shows and smoke cigars, I'm talking too much and ends up going out, and I don't want to do that to the poor cigars. So it's just easier for me to kind of go through my top 10 and then light up a little later. We got Tan the Man Stogies in the house. What's up? Appreciate you joining the stream. So put in you guys' chat. What are you guys smoking on tonight? And also, I want to hear what you guys' top 10 cigars of 2026 so far is. But back to the Kellner 80th, they're still available. Yeah, you can, kind of do some searches on them and find them out there. They're not cheap by any means, but they do come in boxes of 10. You are still able to pick some of those up. They are a limited edition. From my understanding, it is a one-time release. I do not believe they'll come out with, other drops of them in future years. Now, hopefully that changes and they do eventually re-release them. But as far as right now, from my understanding, is they're a one-and-done release. Now, I do know that the Titans of Tobacco event that just happened a couple weeks ago, one of the cigars that they released was the Kellner 80th in a different Vitola. Now, I've not had that cigar yet. I do have some to try, but I just haven't got around to lighting that one up yet. Tan Man says, surprisingly, King's Blood was pretty good for Dominican Puro. I've not had the King's Blood. I believe that's a Fanatics exclusive or store blend or something like that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I got one in the house. Okay. James is smoking an AG Ambassador 109. You know what? Let's just get into it. The next two cigars on this list are from the same gentleman, and that gentleman is Alex Glez. And the Ambassador 109. Let's see, there's a focus here. There we go. That is the Ambassador 109. It's a 7x52 Churchill with a 109 cap. You kind of see that where my palate is just by my top 10. Once again, a very woody, smooth, very mild cigar with just a touch of sweetness. I find this cigar to be one of those cigars you can smoke any time of the day with a cup of coffee or as an evening nightcap. It kind of just punches every ticket you might want throughout the day. And I've smoked through a couple boxes of these already. I do have a couple more boxes in the humidor. These are absolutely fantastic sticks and probably the most budget-friendly stick on this list. They are readily available. Less than a $20 bill for these sticks. They come in boxes of 10. And if you don't know about Alex Glez, he's an old roller out of Cuba. If you've ever watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, that long, Lancero that he is smoking in that show is rolled by Alex Glez. Now, Alex has kind of come out with a bunch of different blends. Some of them are okay. The two that I really like that are on this list, though, are absolutely knockouts. But everybody's palate's different. You guys might like, the Gautus. I wasn't a big fan of the Gautu, but I do know he makes a couple of the Legend cigars. One was for Jamie Foxx, and the other one was for Ray Lewis. I was able to try both of those at PCA. Well, actually, I should say I picked them both up at PCA and smoked them after that. And they are fantastic sticks also. They didn't make the mid-year top 10 of 2026, but they are fantastic sticks. So Alex Glez is really making a splash in the cigar community this year. I expect either future stuff coming out to be just absolutely phenomenal because the man knows how to blend and he knows how to roll. Luigi is smoking an Adobe Black Delirios. Chad smoked a Casa Cuba Divine and a My Father El Ted. Oh, that's the new one, right? Hey, what's up? Lynn David dash U2U. How's it going? Appreciate you joining the stream. Like I said, Alex Glez had 2 sticks on this list. So the third stick to make my mid-year top 10 is the Robena. Let's get this focus. There we go. Number 6. Now there's 3 blends to this, or I should say 3 Vitolas to this. A number 2, a number 4, and a number 6. The number 6 is a 6.5 by 54 Toro. All 3 blends are fantastic. I don't know why the number 4 has a blue band to it, and the number 2 and number 6 have red bands, but I have found that the number 6 is my favorite of the bunch. It just has taste of sweet dough and honey. There's just a little bit of mild pepper just for that little punch, but it is just it almost is like you take a Hawaiian sweet roll, butter it up, and drizzle some honey on it, and that's exactly what you get out of the cigar. It is probably going to make my all-time top 25 list. I've smoked through a box of these already. I have a few more of a second box left, and then after that, I got to pick up some more. I know some people like the number 2, some people like the number 4, and some people like the 6. I'm in the 6 group. I think the 6 is just absolutely phenomenal. Have anybody in the chat had? I know James is smoking the Ambassador, but has anybody else tried the Robena number 6 or the Kellner 80th? And if so, what did you think about it? Let me know in the chat what you guys are thinking about the 3 sticks I have kind of shown so far. Also, another thing about the Robena number 6 is it's not overly expensive. I know everybody's kind of got a different level of what they think is expensive. Some people think anything $20 and over is expensive. Some people think anything, 20 to 30 is reasonable range. I don't gauge prices of cigars because I smoke things all over the map. And just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's better quality. You can get some real bangers cheap, and then you get some real expensive stuff that is absolutely phenomenal too. So I'm just fortunate enough to be able to try a lot of different things regardless of the price point, and let my thoughts known. I've smoked plenty of expensive cigars that were not good. And I know, me and Tan and me and Chad have spoken many times about certain expensive cigars that just weren't good. So, don't take my word for it. If one of the cigars on this list is expensive, they're like, oh, well, CB really liked it. I'm going to fork out the dollars, spend what you're comfortable spending on cigars for your enjoyment, and never take one of these lists as gospel because it's all opinion. What I like and what you like could be 2 completely different things. And I don't ever want to steer somebody to spend their hard-earned money and then be disappointed. So gonna look for some Robena in my local to try. Absolutely, James, you got to do it, man. Alex Glez, like I said, he's making a splash. There's I'm gonna butcher this name. He's got the Gao-2 blend, which is kind of a darker wrapper. He's got I think it's called the Unnueva blends, and there's like a king and an emperor or something like that, and a prince as far as the Vitola size. I know Chad smoked the king at PCA, and I think he really liked that. David chiming in from the DR. Love it, man. I really appreciate you joining in and enjoying the chat here. If you're smoking some, David, let us know what you're smoking on, buddy. So yeah, I know he really liked the king and the Unnueva blend. I thought they were okay. Um, they're kind of mid-level cigars. Um, but for somebody that's kind of getting out on his own right now, he hasn't really had any misses. Just because the Gautu wasn't one of my favorites, it was still a good cigar. The Nueva blends, good cigars. The Robena's amazing cigars. The Ambassador, amazing cigars. The Legendaries, those two Legend cigars, absolutely great cigars. So for somebody that is just kind of breaking out into his own, he's the man knows what he's doing. He's obviously grown up and done this, his whole life, being from Cuba. I believe he rolled for Cohiba and then got hired by one of the local hotels down there and was doing house rules for them before he come over and started blending on his own here and releasing stuff here in the States. So I've been really super impressed with what Alex Glez has been doing. I look forward to anything he brings out. I will be right there at the front of the line wanting to try anything that he blends. So I've been really, really impressed. Gloriosos. Nice. All right, the number 4 stick on my list is one I was smoking the last live, and that is the Opus X 25th Titan. Like I said, this kind of falls in one of those rules. It is not a new blend, but it is a new Vitola for this year. And these were released just a few weeks ago at the TOG Titans event. And I lit one of these up the last live I did, and I absolutely think this is the best Vitola for this blend, in my opinion. It was just, it's got that typical Fuente funk. It's very cedar forward, the stuff that you expect out of any Opus X, but it was just sweet with a little bit of that pepper that just punched you right in the back of the throat, just a little bit, which is what I kind of find that the Churchill size kind of lacked. It had all those components, but it just didn't have enough oomph for me. They kind of fall in line between, the 25th blend, between the 20th, which is extremely light, and then the regular Opus X, which is more kind of your bold. The 25th kind of fits right there in the middle. And I love the 25 blend. Every Vitola I've tried has been fantastic. But sometimes, when you smoke that Opus, I like the sweetness, but I want that little tickle with it. And I think this 25th Titan had just enough that little pepper on the back end to offset that sweetness in that cedar to make it just an absolutely phenomenal cigar. I am very happy that I got plenty of these to smoke over the years, because I think even, as they age, they're going to get even better and better. It's just a phenomenal blend. You cannot go wrong on any of the Vitolas in the 25th blend. It's just, I think as far as Opus goes, that is just magic. Did we meet David at all in the DR? He wasn't at one of those shops that we went to, or at that Fanatics Lounge or anything, was it, Tan? If not, it was, we had a great time when we were in the Dominican Republic, and we met a lot of great people. So if you were one of them that we did meet, and I didn't remember exactly which one you were, my apologies. It was just one of those mind-blowing experiences that kind of had your head spinning. So tell me in the chat, what are some of you guys' mid-year top 20, your mid-year top 10, top 5, top 3 in 2026? Throw out some of your best cigars this year, and let's chat about them. So far, you've seen 4 of my top 10. What was it? Luigi said something about that's about the Alex Glez Mr. Bundles blend he thinks is the best one. That was also a fantastic cigar. The Mr. Bundles. I've only smoked one of them, and I'm not exactly sure where I might even have got it from you, Luigi, in one of the games I might have won or something. I know I got one from somewhere, and I did smoke it, and it was very nice. Like I said, you just cannot go wrong with Alex Glez. Okay, we didn't meet David. Well, hopefully, if I get down to the Dominican Republic again, hopefully we can kind of meet up. Because I tell you what, I love meeting people in the cigar, the cigar hobby. You know, some of the coolest people I've ever met has been at the cigar lounges or at PCA or through the groups. You just absolutely this amazing people in this cigar community, and I always love meeting new people because I haven't met an asshole yet, so that's good. Wait a second, maybe that's because am I that guy? If you haven't come across the asshole, are you the asshole? Is that what that means? I hope not, but that that might be me. All right, number 5 on the list. All right, this is one that me and Chad come across at PCA. Absolutely floored me. It's by a brand that I guarantee most of you guys haven't heard of. And if you have heard of them, it's because we put you onto them. And that is La Flora de Zaida. And this is in the Gloria blend. Now, the other stuff that this company makes has been okay. But the Gloria blend for me is absolutely lights out. It is got the taste of aged tobacco. It's floral, it's smooth, it's sweet. There's absolutely no bite whatsoever. If I had any knock of this, it's a 6x56 cigar. If there's any knock I have to this cigar at all, it's the 56 ring gauge. But the problem is if you start messing with ring gauges, it can completely throw off the taste of the cigar. So, if you bumped it down to a 54, which is kind of where my mouth feel likes, is it could completely change the cigar and ruin it. But I do find the 56 is right at that upper echelon as far as ring gauge for me. But absolutely beautiful cigar. They're on the pricier side. The gentleman is just now starting to get his footing out there into the retail world. He's made some cigars for some celebrities. I know he's made some cigars for Stallone and some for Andy Garcia and a few other celebrities. But we kind of come across this table at PCA. He was kind of offset a little bit. And I think the first thing that really kind of caught our eye was the packaging. His packaging was just screamed high end. And then he handed us some of these cigars and we started smoking them. And that Gloria, it was my favorite cigar by far at PCA. It's going to be on my top 25 of all time. And it's something that'll be in my daily rotation probably forever. It is just that good of a cigar. And one of our other buddies in the groups, Chris Ruff, he was skeptical about it. He's kind of, everybody's got their own opinions on cigars, but when he smoked it, he was blown away too. It was just one of those cigars, just absolutely fantastic. And I know when we were at PCA, I told my buddy Tan, I was like, Tan, you got to go check out this table. And they brought him down there in their local shop down there at the Big Easy. So, kudos to them for bringing in such a great brand because, I'm excited for these to become more mainstream out there so they're more readily available for me to pick up. Because even if you Google search it now, I believe they're still kind of harder to get. So if you're looking for them, maybe to reach out to Big Easy on a phone call or something like that, you may be able to pick up some through them. But if I'm speaking out of turn there, Tan, let me know, buddy. Let's see what the chat's saying here. You prefer the Tributo or the Perfecto? I actually prefer. I think the Perfecto's better than the Tributo, but the Tributo in the OG Churchill is just so good. It's just, we're talking just minor differences. That Perfecto is really nice though. And this could be a little bit of a bias too, because I haven't smoked as many of the Perfectos as I've had the Tributos. I smoke probably 2 or 3 Tributos a week because it's just such a good cigar. Tan says, Dave and I recently become friends. He is Chinese, live in the DR. Cultured man. James, one of the ones I tried this year was the Nines 262, which was great. The construction and flavor was amazing. I believe we ran the 9262 in the Joshua Boykin charity event. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Luigi was the one that was able to procure those as one of the prizes for that charity event. And I don't know, James, if you were the one that won that boxes and that was how you got to try it or not, but I do remember the 9262. Chad said, same as far as the glory, I'm sure you're same for me. Love the blend though, dried fruit nuances. Tan says La Flora de Zaida is good. He also says best bet is to call Roe at Big E's to make an order. Yep. So if you're looking to try one of those La Flora de Zaida, reach out to Big Easy Cigar, talk to Roe, tell him Craig sent you. And Tan, you tell Roe I'm still waiting for my kickback here. What cigar are we talking about? Just got on the live. What? Broadleaf Bully, we were just talking about the La Flora de Zaida, which was the brand that we come across at PCA. The other 4 cigars so far in the top 5 that I've talked about was the Kellner 80th, the Ambassador 109 by AG, another one by AG, which is the Robena number 6, and the Opus X 25th Titan from the TOG event a couple weeks ago. So those are the 5 we talked about so far. Like I said, they're in no particular order. They're just the top 10 that I've smoked this year. Madison Money Cigar. He's a friend of mine under the Ohana brand. I do not have any idea about Madison Money Cigars, but if Chad says that they're good, I will take his word for it because Chad has never steered me wrong. All right. The number 6 cigar on the list, like I said, no particular order. I do not have one of these to show you. I've smoked through what I had. I need to pick up some more, but in the kind of the current way of the world right now, it's a little more difficult to get these, and that is the Monte Cristo Double Inmundo. It was from 2022. You know, it was just your typical Cuban smoothness, twang, hay, grass. It was just a beautiful Cuban cigar, and actually one that I didn't have any burner construction issues with, which made the whole smoking experience that much more enjoyable. Now, as far as the Cuban Monte Cristo brand, I'm a big fan of the number 1. I know a lot of people like the number 2. I like the number 1 better than the number 2, but Monte Cristo is one that I have actually found to have kind of probably the least amount of construction issues, whether it be burn issues or plugs out of the Cubans. You know, Cohiba doesn't give me too many issues. Trinidad doesn't give me too many issues. Partagas, for me, honestly, it's just like flipping a coin as far as any type of construction issues with them for me lately anyways. But this year, that Double Inmundo, a Monte Cristo from the year 2022 was an absolutely phenomenal cigar. I had 3 of them. I smoked them almost like boom, 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 because, you know, I smoked the one. It was just in the back of my head. Next day I lit up the other one. And now I just got to hunt down some more, especially from 2022, because it kind of seems to be, you know, that 4 or 5 years of range right there seems to be a real sweet spot right now for that cigar. So if you have any from 2022, light it up, you know, DM me, message me, let me know what you think, because I tell you what, that's smoking phenomenal right now. Oh, Madison owns 262 cigars. Okay. The AG is fire, but mine was plugged and tossed in the yard. That sucks. Hopefully you got another one that's not plugged there, Bully. One of the best this year was the Lampert Baba Yaga. I got to revisit it. I smoked it at an event at a local lounge where Dr. Lampert was there, and he handed me one, and it was okay. I don't know, maybe it was a little fresh. And I'm a big Lampert fan. You hear me talk about Lampert and Ferrietago on these streams because I am a big fan of what they do. The Platino, I was able to pick up some of the size A's. Those are phenomenal cigars. The Limitada of 23 and the Limitada 25 are absolutely fire. The Ocean Breezes on my top 25 of all time. I always got a bunch of Ocean Breezes at the lounge in the locker. So I'm a big fan of what Lampert Cigars does. I am a black card member because I do like to pick up some of those exclusives. But the Baba Yaga, I do really got to revisit because the one that I did smoke was, was okay. But there's so many things that can kind of go into your smoking experience. As far as how your taste buds are that day. The lunch that I had before I went to the lounge could throw off your taste buds. The mood you're in could throw off, your smoking cigar experience. So it was just one of those things where, I thought it was a good cigar. I just wasn't. It just wasn't on the same point as some of the other stuff that I've had. But I've only smoked one, so I will reserve my final um, feeling about that until I test it again down the road. For a Corline Opus, number 2 is pretty damn good. Yeah, well, you pick any Corline Opus, and I don't think there's a bad one. They all got a little bit of nuance because, as we've talked about before, Vitola really does change the flavor by a lot. Just because it's the same blend, people don't realize, that the variation of sizes, which changes basically the makeup of how much filler, binder, wrapper are in each cigar completely makes the cigar taste different. I'm a big fan of the number 2. I'm a big fan of Super Bellicoso. I like the Robusto. I like the, Reserva de Chateau. Those Pussycats are, they got some punch. They'll kind of kick you in the balls a little bit. Those ones. But yeah, all those Corline Opus, is good. I'm just an Opus guy. There's just, I think probably the least Opus I would say I'd put the furthest on the list is probably the Oro Oscuro, which is still a good cigar. But right now in my cigar smoking journey, as you can kind of see from my top 5, right now my palate is just not into the dark, heavy, bold stuff. I'm more right now is that light, middle of the road, smooth creaminess. That's kind of where I'm at right now as far as what cigars I'm really enjoying. And every time I go to the humidors, as you can see, I only have a few cigars. I seem to always pick up, that middle of the road, milder stuff, because that's just, for some reason, that's where I'm at in my journey. And last year at this time, there probably would have been a ton of broadleaf and a little much more bolder stuff. But right now, I'm just not in the bold stuff. Ocean Breeze and Kingpin. Oh, Kingpin is such a good one. Tannerman, those Pussycats will kick in the butt. Yeah, they do. For some reason, it's just that little. It's a little firecracker. That is for sure. The Oscuro wrappers for pellets that kicks the bitter flavors. Yep. Oscuro will have a little bit more bitterness to it. New drops fresh off truck seem to underwhelm most time. I think it has to do with humidity acclimation when it's been in the country for a week. 100% agree, Chad. James said that 13-year-old Opus Super Belly that he got from me was one of the smoothest things I ever smoked. Absolutely. That was probably the oldest Corline Opus I had smoked. I was able to pick up a good portion of these Super Bellicosos from 2013. So I put them in little bundles in my games where I put a brand new one from the end of 2025 and this one from 2013 in a bundle together so that the people that did win them were able to taste them and see what 13 years of age would do to an Opus Corline. I tell you what, 2 completely different cigars, and that 13 years of age on that Opus made it so smooth and creamy. It was really heaven. So I'm definitely putting a lot of Opus off the side for some long-term aging because it is phenomenal. Do you like Templo de Oro? I do. I do like the Templo de Oro Opus. I know some people like that bigger 13 the best. I think for my favorite is the 1 or the 3 is my favorite. I think the 13 it mutes the flavors too much. I think the Vitola is a little bit too big for the blend. At least that's for me. Where I think you can taste some of the nuance better on the smaller Vitolas. But I do like the Templo de Oro. I guess there's not really an Opus that I dislike. They're all good. The Forbiddens are even, they're kind of, they're different even than the rest of the stuff, and those are good cigars. All right, let's get to the number 6 cigar, which is one you're probably not going to be able to find, unfortunately. But this is the, let's get this. This is the Sans Pere. This is a red Lancero. Now, they only made 1,525 cigars of these total back in 2018. And they were sold in these special humidors, and they only made 61 humidors total. And they were $40 a piece back in 2018. So they were pricey back then. But I'm a fan of Sans Pere. I think as far as some smooth tobacco, it is just smooth. It's aged. It's very, it's got the oak. It's got the hay. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. But that red Lancero is probably my favorite of all of them that I've smoked. And I think that the Lanceros, period, from Sans Pere are the best out of any of the Vitolas. The unfortunate part of it is they're only released at one time in very limited numbers, and they're almost impossible to find. So that was kind of one that, I feel bad about putting it on the list. But like I said, this isn't a list for you guys to be able to go out and hunt these down. These are just my personal top 10 for 2026 halfway through the year that I come across. So that cigar is just a banger. So if you ever come across some of those Lanceros, pick them up. Like I said, there are very few of them out there. There was ever, very few of them ever made. So when you do get them, they're quite the treat. Later, Tanny's going to grab some dinner. Chad, what would you say your top cigar in 2026 is? I also want to hear from Luigi and James. What are your top cigars in 2026? And David, if you're out there, what is your favorite cigar so far this year? Doesn't have to be a new cigar, just what is your favorite for this year? All right, the number, where was we? 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on number 8. This cigar is probably going to be my cigar of the year in 2026. For really a couple reasons. One is I was already a huge fan of the blend. It's a little more available than one of the other cigars in here that might be one of the all-time best cigars I've ever had. But this one here is the LFD Pasafinos, also known as the baby Andalusian Bull. And for those that know me, know that I'm a big Andalusian Bull fan, especially you get a couple years of age on it. Love the Golden Bull. And this cigar here is just leather oak. It's got this maple syrup type sweetness. It is just absolutely phenomenal. This is better than the Andalusian Bull. It is better than the Golden Bull. It is, I think, the best blend of the Andalusian Bull, period. It is a 6x52 Figurado. It's under the TOG Rare Finds. So this is the second cigar out of the TOG Rare Finds. We had the Opus X 25th Titan and now this one. But this cigar is absolutely lights out phenomenal. And it's going to be very hard for any cigar, I think, this year to overcome this for my cigar of the year. I actually went back this week to buy some more, and right now they are sold out. I am unsure if they're going to come out with more of them. I hope it is going to be a regular production cigar. I have not heard otherwise. I just know that the first batch was released in a box that also had 5 of the Paso Largos, which are also pretty good, but just doesn't hold a candle to the Pasafinos. And those, you come in a box of 5 of those and 10 of the baby bulls. So I'm hoping that eventually, LFD will come out with these as just regular production. I don't know if it's just going to be an exclusive to TOG or eventually they'll make it a worldwide exclusive if they do release them at all. But I do think the clamoring for this cigar will cause LFD to put this into hopefully regular production, because if you've not had one, this is one cigar that I do say go out, hunt it down, pick it up, and smoke it. It's not overly pricey, but it's absolutely fantastic. Chad said the Florida Zida is his favorite so far. James says his favorite so far is the Opus 888. Love the Vitola. That is my favorite Opus X Vitola, is the 888. Just something about that size. It's also my favorite Añejo blend is the 888. Like I said, I just think it's that wrapper to filler combo that I just absolutely love. The number 9 cigar on the list, I am completely out of. I need to pick up more. I just put in another recent order to get some. But that is the Martinique Corona Gorda by Principal. It is the most savory cigar on the list. To me, it has just got a little bit of the citrus zest. It's got this salted butter, bready note. It's almost like toast, like morning toast. It is just a very savory stick. I've had both the Corona Gorda and the Lancero. I know some people like the Lancero better, but for me, the Corona Gorda, I think the blend works better for me. I did not find it to be bitter at all. It's just got a little bit of that citrus zest to it, but an absolutely fantastic cigar. So unfortunately, I don't have one to show you because I smoked them all. And they couldn't get an order here before the shooting of this video once I realized I was out of them. Chad says, oh, what do we got here? Okay, we got Luigi 2026 Platino A. Yep, I was smoking one of those at the shop the other day. Those are fantastic. The Bandler Premium 55s. You know, you guys know my love for selected tobacco, the Bandler Premium. I sent Chad one for his birthday. He smoked it, and I think he also enjoyed the Bandolero Premium. The Eladio Diaz 73, I have not smoked that one, but it's Eladio. You can't go wrong with anything Eladio touches. That's for dang sure. Have I had the Jack Schwartz Andalusian Bull? I have a box of them that is sealed. I have never smoked one, but I do have a box of them. It's one of those kind of like unicorns that you can't get anymore. So one of these days I do need to kind of cut it open and smoke one, and because I've heard that is absolutely phenomenal in that size. I would really love to come across another box or some singles at some point from a private collector, so that way I can kind of keep my box intact. But I don't know how realistic that'll be, but hopefully one day I'll get lucky. But I do have a box of them, so I'll have to smoke one day. Chad says the Hoya Green Room, the TGS 26, fantastic cigar. That was another banger that Opus put out this year. The Ocean Breeze new size is the Gordo. The Alex Les 109, which is on my list. I forgot about the Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, that Gorilla Gorda. Yeah, that was a very good cigar. And honestly, probably in my opinion, the best cigar that he's made recently. If I want to really think, make sure that I'm not really missing anything. It was better than the Jubilee 10th, at least in my opinion. It was that Gorilla Gorda was really good. Chad says the Bandolero 55 was amazing. Also, Good Buddy just gave it to me. Agree. I appreciate the Good Buddy comment. Agree. The Platino A is fire. Also, yeah. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about maybe it was the first live. I talked about how I wanted to try the Lampert Platino because I missed out on the original one. And when I went to order them, they're already sold out. So I was able to pick up a couple bundles of the Platino size A's. So I do have some of those here, and I got some of those at the lounge. Absolutely phenomenal smoke. It was probably an honorable mention if I was going to, go 12, 13 down the list. I would really like to try the original one to see how it stacks up, because I've heard just such good things about that Platino, the original size, that it's kind of almost between the Limitada 23 and the Limitada 25. So I thought the Platino size A, I didn't think it matched up to either of the Limitadas. It wasn't too far off, but I would really eventually like to try the original Platina size to see how good that is. Principal getting love, absolutely. Principal getting love. Principal makes some good stuff. He says it's the best version of the blend. Oh, the Corona Gorda is. So you agree with that, Luigi? It's good to know that my palate is not off. Or are you talking about the Jack Schwartz Andalusian Bull is the best version of the blend? Which one? Chad said agreed better than any of these new drops talk about Dunbarton. Yeah, I agree. You know. All right, so we're down to finally our final cigar in the top 10. Now this one here, I've only smoked once. I have a couple more. I have to smoke it. I will say that the initial time I smoked it, it was in the Dominican Republic, a bunch of friends. It was a gingerbread cookie from light up to finish. It was the best cigar I've ever smoked. Now, the only reason that it's not number one on my top list of all time is because I've only smoked it once. I have to find a real reason to smoke it again. And I'm hoping that the experience is just as good. Well, actually, I kind of don't. And I'll tell you why. If the experience that I had the very first time I smoked it, if the second time I smoke it, it matches up, I'm in big trouble. And that is because it is the Davidoff Oro Blanco. No, let's get focused a little bit. But this here is the Special Reserve 2002 version. This isn't the latest. You know, there's two different Oro Blancos. This is the original one. And the reason that I say that I'm in trouble because if it stacks up to the first time I smoked and this becomes my all-time favorite cigar, this is a car payment. I don't want to be smoking car payments. So, you know, that gingerbread cookie from start to finish was absolutely phenomenal. I'm really hoping, you know, the next time I smoke it, it's as good, but it's going to hurt the pocketbook if it is. I got two more. You know, I've given a couple away in my groups, so I'm hoping that those that got them smoked them because it is such a unique treat. And some things it's if you got it, find a reason to smoke it. So James says Super Baller Stick CD. Yeah, it is. It is a baller stick for sure. Like I said, you know, it could have been a multiple reasons why that cigar was so good on that particular night, you know. But I would imagine at a cigar at that price point, it better be damn good. But for it to be that good, it was just like, it was really kind of mind blowing. Like I said, it was overall, I will say, the best cigar experience I've ever had. Out of anything I've ever smoked. So you guys know that I love Atabey Black. The Ritos is my all-time favorite cigar overall. And that's just because I've smoked, you know, multiple boxes of those. So at some point this year, I'm going to revisit the Oro Blanco again. And at that time, it'll either cement my thoughts or I'll realize that it was more the environment and my mood that made me enjoy the cigar experience so much. But if it matches up to what I originally think, then the Atabey Black Ritos has been knocked off of the mountaintop. And I'll have to just pick up some more, unfortunately. So the Limitada 23 is fire. Absolutely, Chad. Chad said baller. Yeah, I just, you know, I was able to get some of these and not have to pay that extreme price point for them. It was part of a larger purchase that I made, so I was able to get a handful of them on a deal. Like I said, I have a couple set up. I've smoked one. I've given a couple away in groups, and I've given a couple away to some friends. So I'll just have to find a good reason to smoke it again. So that is my top 10 mid-year list for 2026. I will throw one more honorable mention in there, and this is a cigar that is no longer produced. I don't have any more. I've been trying to hunt a few down, but it is actually a cigar by Dunbarton, and that is the Sin Compromiso Verita Magica. It is, I believe, like a 7 by 44 Vitola, and I like the Sin Compromiso blend that he makes, but I was able to smoke a handful of those over the last couple months. And for some reason, why that cigar was discontinued, I have no idea. That was an absolutely sweet, fantastic, bold cigar. It's good. I don't know if it's just because it's that skinnier Vitola that people didn't buy it. Because I know that a lot of times the skinnier Vitolas just don't sell as popular as some of the more girthy stuff. I don't know if it's like, the girthier the stick, the manlier the man. I don't know, but it was a good cigar. And unfortunately, that was discontinued a couple of years ago and can no longer get. But if I had to throw an honorable mention in there, it would have been that one there. So if you have some, your shops still have those. They're relatively, on the cheaper end of sticks. Pick one up and smoke it. They're good cigars. So, but that concludes the list for this mid-year. We'll see what the second half of 2026 has in store. I sure hope that I have a whole new list of goodies by the end of the year, because anytime that you come across some fantastic cigars to smoke, it does two things. It puts a smile on my face and it empties my wallet. So one thing's good, the other thing's bad, but it is what it is in the cigar hobby. It is not cheap, but neither is golf, shooting guns, or any other hobbies such as bourbon collecting, which I also do, in women. They're all expensive. You can't get around it. Life is a money suck. You just got to find enjoyment where you can get it. So I do like to end each stream with a prayer. So if you would believe and you'd like to join me in prayer, we can bow our heads. And if you don't, then I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll be back here in 2 weeks for just a regular discussion. We're going to be calling it Chatting with CB Cigar Vault. So please bring your questions, your comments, or anything you want to discuss the next live, and we'll get to it. But let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, as we end this time together, we thank you for the gift of friendship and the bonds we've shared today. May we always walk in honor, treating one another with respect, kindness, and integrity. Bless each viewer, strengthen our connections, and guide us until we meet again. In your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.